InvestorIdeas.com podcasts.
Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of InvestorIdeas.com podcast. In today's podcast, we're going to be looking at a few private as well as public company announcements. We're looking at CWEB Holdings Incorporated, trading on the TSX as CWEB and the OTCQX as CWBHF. Also looking at PCLO Limited, trading on the TSX Venture as PCLO and the OTCQX as PCLOF, as well as Cannabis and Hill Street Beverage Company Incorporated, trading on the TSX Venture as Beer. So first today, starting with CWEB Holding Incorporated, who announced a collaboration between its CW Labs Science Division and the University at Buffalo's Center for Integrated Global Biomedical Sciences to advance hemp cannabinoid science through a research program that provides a better understanding of the therapeutic uses and safety of cannabinoids. Now, this new scientific initiative builds on early projects that have been envisioned by Dr. Morse, Director of the Center for Integrated Global Biomedical Sciences at the University of Buffalo and the State University of New York, and Distinguished Professor. Now, the new partnership includes collaboration on a global program to advance cannabinoid sciences, implementation research, and safety for both supplement and biomedical use of cannabinoids with the Coordination Center at Buffalo. And its purpose is to identify optimal approaches to advance the safe use of cannabinoid-containing products and identify the gaps in current knowledge. The program will include the design of implementation of novel population-based clinical informatics analysis using large databases, pilot projects that facilitate better understanding of preclinical and clinical pharmacology, and drug interactions to develop safe approaches to cannabinoid therapy. Charlotte's Web CW Labs has an advanced team of scientists based here on the medical campus, and we're excited to work with the chief leaders in the hemp sector, both in the quality of their hemp genetics and their products, said Dr. Morse. Now, we realize the value of partnering our established cannabinoid product business models with an internationally recognized leader in clinical research to address the growing field of cannabinoid health and wellness products, said Tim Orr, CW Labs Senior Vice President of Innovation. This collaboration will oversee multidisciplinary teams conducting cutting-edge research in new areas of implementation to expand the database of evidence that can guide future therapeutics development in the field. We're pleased to have established this working relationship with UB's Center for the Integrated Global Biomedical Sciences and the opportunity that this new alliance creates. Now, building on this multidisciplinary team is underway. It includes UB investigators Dr. Laszlo Metzger, a neurologist and neuro-oncologist in the Department of Neurology, medical director of the Dent Neurological Institute and its Cannabis Clinic and Research Center, as well as the chief of neuro-oncology at Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center. Dr. Jason Sproul, a pharmaceutical science in the development of pharmaceutical sciences at University of Buffalo, investigators at the University of the West Indies, Mona Campus, and Jamaica, and Dr. Marvin Reed, the director of the Tropical Medical Research Institute, and Professor Thajani DeGaldo, who leads the Natural Products Institute, and a few more. So the collaboration will pursue implementation research related to the wellness aspects of cannabinoids, the established national and global capacity building efforts that form the foundation of the University of Buffalo Center for the Integrated Global Biomedical Sciences. These scientists bring global expertise in areas such as cellular transport mechanisms that influence cannabinoid distribution throughout the body, clinical pharmacology mechanisms that contribute to the different responses among individuals and potential interactions between botanical cannabinoids and commonly used medications, and will contribute to a global understanding of cannabinoids, said Dr. Morse. So, Charlotte's Web Holdings, obviously a very well-known company within the CBD and hemp space, obviously has done a lot of research in the past and has helped put through a lot of the pros for CBD through the FDA. Now partnering with the University of Buffalo. We've seen a lot of universities start to have more partnerships with cannabis businesses and research teams over the last year, and I would expect that to continue to move forward. Again, same thing for psychedelic research, and really it's about time that a lot of these universities and actual learning institutions started jumping on board with the cannabis and cannabinoid research, as even as just a novel understanding of the endocannabinoid system could have a huge impact on the field of medicine, not just for cannabis-based medicine, but for all medicine in general, as the endocannabinoid system is pretty important for how your body heals and maintains its balance. So I would pay attention to that. I'm assuming that there will be some nice developments over the next 2 years with Charlotte's Web Holding and this University of Buffalo collaboration, but definitely something to pay attention to. Looking next at PCLO Limited, who congratulated the Mexican Senate members for advancing the much-needed cannabis legislation and subsequent reform by voting to move forward the legislation bill, which includes provisions for import of medical extracts and products. Now, David Attard, CEO of PCLO, said, "The recent vote is an important development and positive momentum towards bringing cannabis reform to the finish line by the mid-December deadline. Now, the partnership we established with Mino Labs last year as PCLO Mexico is a precursor to what we expect will become an important and vibrant market for cannabis-derived health and wellness products, for which we aim to become a primary supplier of high-quality medical-grade oils and isolates." Now, Manuel Cosme Odebachayan, the CEO of Mino Labs, stated that Mexican lawmakers made it loud and clear today that adult cannabis usage should be legalized. The senators' votes in favor of the new bill are a huge step forward in the development of welcome to both end users and the industry participants. For the past 20 years, Mino Labs has been a leading specialty supplier and distributor of pharma-grade products in Mexico. And together with PCLO, we have built a great infrastructure to provide the Mexican market with top-notch cannabis extract product offerings, and we are ready to deliver. Now, PCLO and Mino Labs founded PCLO Mexico last year as a joint venture. The purpose of the joint venture is to bring PCLO's high-quality cannabis extracts and derivative products from its Colombian cultivation and processing center to the Mexican market by leveraging Mino Labs' extensive experience and broad presence in the country's pharma distribution space. Now, upon completion of the legislation process, PCLO Mexico will commence the sale and distribution of medical cannabis products, including those in the wellness and lifestyle segments in Mexico. So it looks like the Mexican government is going to be passing through some sort of medical cannabis program by the end of the year. That's going to be a huge boon for, again, the PCLOs. There's a few other companies that have established Mexican enterprises or at least Mexican partnerships to bring in products once they are allowed to be brought in. Again, I do think that the Latin American companies or the ones based out of Colombia specifically will have the advantage as far as price points and infrastructure. Again, there are some US-based companies that are obviously looking into that as well, but I do think that they're going to have difficulties when it comes to meeting certain requirements, having their facilities up to spec, and also having their import and export licenses ready to go. But I do think that that's going to be the next market to really explode, especially for the health and wellness segment and for CBD products. That is really where a lot of these companies are expecting a huge explosion of sales. Again, massive population in Mexico. If they can hit certain price points and make these products reasonable and get them to market fast enough, that's going to be a huge boon for the industry. Looking next at Hill Street Beverage Company Incorporated, who announced it signed a definitive agreement to acquire the primary assets of Lexaria Can Farm, the cannabis-related division of Lexaria Biosciences, which trades on the CSE as LXX. And this acquisition provides Hill Street with the exclusive rights in perpetuity to the use of Lexaria's groundbreaking Dehydratech trademark patent portfolio on a global basis to make any type of products containing THC and other psychoactive cannabinoids. In addition, the agreement expands Hill Street's license with Lexaria Hemp Co. to make products containing CBD on a global basis for 10 years. So the total consideration of $3.85 million, including $350,000 in cash upon closing and future payments of $2 million. And Hill Street will issue Lexaria Bioscience a total of $1.5 million worth of common shares in the capital of the company in 3 equal installments in the first tranche. So, with over 60 patents for Dehydratech trademark either issued or pending, the transaction positions Hill Street to expand its strategy of producing ingredients for Cannabis 2.0 products, allowing the company to take advantage of growing demand for quick onset and duration recreational cannabis edibles and topicals. Now, this transaction will allow Hill Street to expand its addressable market to every country in the world where cannabis is either medicinally or recreationally legal. And Lexaria's intellectual property converts perishable cannabinoid products such as oils and extracts into shelf-stable powders. Now, completion of the transaction is still subject to approval of the TSX Venture Exchange. With this transaction, we are building on an already strong partnership with Lexaria, and we are gaining full ownership of the joint manufacturing partnership we created last year and positioning Hill Street to become an early leader in the global market for Cannabis 2.0 ingredients and products. Our cannabis processing facility is designed specifically to produce shelf-stable ingredients using Dehydratech trademark for the Cannabis 2.0 market, said Terry Donnelly, the chairman and CEO of Hill Street. Now, with a significant portion of the consideration in shares and future payments, this transaction demonstrates Lexaria's faith in Hill Street to unlock the value of their innovations for their shareholders based on success. So, more beverages, more products coming to the market. The Dehydratech trademark technology I've talked a lot about in Lexaria Biosciences in the past. Again, I've mentioned before that I do think focusing on patents and intellectual rights in the cannabis sector right now is a huge waste of time, just because, again, there are no regulatory bodies that are really paying attention to this. And the difficulty is that as much as everyone says they have a proprietary technique, it's pretty much all the same stuff, just using a slightly different format. And again, there's lots of companies boasting faster bioavailability, faster onset and offset time, water solubility, tasteless, odorless, all that jazz. And I do think that in general, it's just going to be about the overall quality, the products that they put on the market that's going to distinguish them, not necessarily whether they have a patent or any sort of intellectual IP. But on the other side, Hill Street is going to be a huge boost for them to be able to make more products for the international market. Again, the beverage market still very nascent, still really hasn't developed into what people were expecting it to be. And that still is due to difficulties with actually making viable formulas that don't sort of start disintegrating or deteriorating over time and don't also taste like shit. There's a big issue with that. Lastly, today, looking at Candora, the global media and event platform, an initiative created by Marigold Marketing and PR to support advancing women in emerging industries, has announced it's hosting the Women in Psychedelics event, or Candora Connect. Now, the virtual event, Women in Psychedelics, is open to audiences worldwide and will take place from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, December 2nd. And the event will offer attendees a unique experience providing collaboration, networking, inspiration, and advancing of women's success in the emerging psychedelics industry worldwide. We are honored to be partnering with Candor to create a movement that is bringing awareness and attention to advancing women in the emerging psychedelics industry, says Todd Shapiro, the CEO and director of Red Light Holland. Now, this is an exciting event that will provide amazing opportunities to network, learn, connect, and feel inspired by all the extraordinarily intelligent speakers and panelists, including Ann Barnes and Sarah Haskes, whom we are proud and grateful to work so closely with at Red Light Holland. Now, attendees will hear from influential speakers, learn best industry practices for success, and network with leading industry experts in psychedelics. And the event will feature notable industry professionals and panelists who share their expertise on critical topics, including opportunities for international business in psychedelics and the science behind psilocybin and its role in women's health. So some of the industry leaders and speakers in attendance include Ann Barnes, the director of Red Light Holland, Sarah Haskes, the CEO of Radix Motion, Terry Smith, chief mycologist of Wake, Dr. Olga Chernals, the chief science officer of Wake, Susan Chappell, president of Haven Life, and Iris Selkirk, co-founder and director of Rise Wellness Retweets. Now, 2020 is the year of the voice of psychedelic renaissance and has been heard the loudest, says Dr. Olga Chernals, Chief Science Officer of Wake. So far, the data streaming from the psychedelic clinical studies has been exceptionally promising. It gives hope to development and recognition of new treatment modalities for the support of mental health. Women, often disproportionately affected by these conditions, could find a way to reprocess the underlying emotional content and find balance with the help of psychedelic-assisted therapy. Now, hosting is the 7th professional event for emerging industries, including sellout attendances in previous cannabis women-focused events for the Candora Connect. And the event is positioned to be a hailed success. And the event is made possible with the support of Red Light Holland, trading on the CSE as TRIP and the OTC as TRUFF, and Wake. And for more information, you can click the links attached in the article. And to purchase tickets or to register, you can go on the link from Eventbrite or check out Eventbrite as well. Again, we've seen Candora do the similar things with cannabis and other industries for women. I do think that that'll be an important event, especially focusing on the new therapeutic evidence that's coming through for psilocybin. I'd like to hear more specifically from Ann Barnes, the director of Red Light Holland. They're a company that's been doing a lot of really interesting things and is well positioned within the psilocybin market to move forward. And in general, it is mainly for women's mental health and for women's general health that these products have a massive potential. There's been lots of talks about, antidepressant, anti-anxiety, and anti-inflammation from psilocybin products. And I do expect that you're going to continue to see this momentum for psychedelics continue throughout the year into next year. Again, this seems like an industry that's very well positioned to advance much quicker than cannabis is. In Vancouver, they're already talking about decriminalizing illicit substances. Again, Oregon just passed their bill, and it does seem like within the next year there's going to be at least some sort of position with psilocybin in Canada as well as in other parts of the world. So definitely is an event worth listening to, as most of these psychedelic conferences have a lot of great information and a lot of good talks about where this industry is going to end up and how they actually see this turning into a realistic industry, what kind of clinics are going to be set up, what type of products are going to be available, whether it's going to be recreational, medical, or there's going to be medical exceptions. All good piece of information to gain right now. That's all for today's podcast. Enjoy the rest of your day. That's all for today's podcast. Podcast is now a certified word trademark on the blockchain through Cognate Incorporated CM certification. InvestorIdeas.com podcasts are also available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and TuneIn. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor of this podcast, please contact InvestorIdeas.com. Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website, and this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products or services or securities. Investors are reminded that all investments involve risk and possible loss of investment. Investor Ideas does not condone the use of cannabis except where permissible by law. Our site does not possess, distribute, or sell cannabis products.